Welcome back, everybody, to Diego Knows. Excuse me, I gotta drink something to review this fucking movie. Let me tell you. Welcome back, everybody, to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego, and today I'm going to continue to review that wonderful chick flick that you love so much. Okay, Pretty Woman. That's right, Pretty Woman. That piece of shit. Okay, well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Okay, I'm watching it again. All right, it's not as bad as I remembered it, but the message is still fucking wrong. Okay, it's still fucking wrong. It's still a fucking abortion. All right, if you got a shit sandwich in one hand, and you got a shit sandwich with some romaine lettuce, some feta cheese, on a brioche bun, you know, uh, it's still a shit sandwich. It just looks better, okay? And that's what this movie is. It's still a shit sandwich that looks pretty good. There is some good stuff here, okay? I'm not gonna lie. There's some good stuff there. I got emotional a little bit. All right, but it's still a horrible message, okay? It's still fucking bad. Okay, it's still fucking bullshit Gary Marshall chick flick shit, which today are still the same tropes. And I will be honest with you, this movie's got some good stuff in there. Like, I've seen the whole thing again now, but there was one scene where I wanted just to turn this shit off. I said, "Fuck this review, just fuck it." Okay, this is bullshit now. Okay, and it really pissed me off. But I'll get to that when that scene happens. All right. But here, this is part 8 of my review, my analysis. Yeah, I said that. My review of Pretty Woman from 1990. Now, what I do here is I give you a straight man's point of view, okay? I don't bullshit here. I got nothing to gain by lying to you, okay? Most men, straight men, do not watch chick flicks, okay? We don't, okay? But, we have girlfriends, we have wives, and they make us go see this shit. Okay, I saw this movie I was a teenager when this movie first came out. So hearing some of the songs and the fashions kind of brought back memories of being in fucking, in high school, all the high school drama that I was going through at the time when this movie came out. All right. Yes, I'm younger than Julia Roberts. Okay, so I remember that era in time before cell phones, before the internet, before any of that shit happened. So I was there, and I remember the effect this movie had on teenage girls, but mostly on middle-aged women. This was like the movie that our moms loved. Our moms loved this movie, okay? Which is kind of fucked up, okay? But I did do some research on it here. Like I said before in my other videos, Richard Gere was 40 years old when he filmed this, but how old was Julia Roberts when she filmed this? Not when it came out, when she filmed it. How old was Julia Roberts? I'll tell you how she was. She was fucking 22 years old. She's a fucking kid. She was a 22-year-old kid, okay, when she filmed this movie. Okay, and her love interest was 40 years old. Okay, there you go. Just to give you a little context about this movie. Hey, this role was written for Molly Ringwald, but she turned it down. So it went to Julia Roberts, the queen of the chick flicks, the big fucking mouth herself. Julia bitch Roberts, okay, the woman that goes through fucking men like toilet paper. All right, but anyway, this is part 8 of my review here, so I'm gonna give you a straight man's point of view. I don't bullshit here. Okay, I'm not going to censor myself either. So if you're easily offended, if you're easily triggered, get the fuck out of here right now. I will not censor myself for you. Okay? The real question you need to ask yourself is, can you handle it? Can you handle the truth? Because I don't think you can. I don't think you can. But I'm going to give you the truth. Straight up, baby. And there's no lube. No lube. So this is part of my chick flick destruction series here. I'm going to take all your favorite chick flicks. I'm going to rip them apart for the piece of shit that they really are. Now, there are a few exceptions. There's a few good ones. Now, obviously, I've not seen every chick flick that's out there, but I've seen my fair share. I watch a lot of movies. I mostly like action movies, superhero movies, military movies, crime, martial arts. That's the kind of shit that I like. Robots fighting in space. I like that shit. All right, but that's who I am. Okay, but there's already so many YouTube channels about that. There really is. There's so many. What can I add to that? There's just so many out there that talk about this kind of stuff. But when it comes to this genre, the rom-com, the chick flick genre, I look around. There's not really that many straight guys that do in-depth reviews on this shit. There's not. Okay, this is not exactly. People want to make YouTube channels on shit that they like, which is natural. Okay, but I want to jump into your fucking area and tell you what I really think, because no one's talking about it. Okay, I've already reviewed every episode of Sex and the City, all the movies, even that piece of shit news show. I've already reviewed all that shit on this channel. Okay, but the reason I did it is because no one else is doing it. No one else is reviewing this shit. You know, I mean, there's a lot of gay people reviewing it. There's a lot of women reviewing it, you know, stuff like that. But there's no straight guys reviewing it because they don't watch this shit. But I do watch it. I do watch this shit, okay? And I see now why there's so many fucked up women in the world, okay? Okay, no, I don't hate women. But there's a lot of, these movies send a lot of fucking messages that are so fucking wrong. And I've dated my fair share of women, okay? Okay, and I've always asked myself, like, why would a girl think that? Why would she do this? Well, watching these movies, now I know. Holy shit, man, this is the message they send you? No, I'm here to set the record straight. I'm gonna give you straight man's point of view. Let's see if you can handle it, all right? So like I said, this is part 8 here. So where we left off in the last video, they had a business dinner, okay? And Vivian, that's Julia Roberts' character, Vivian, I forgot her last name. Vivian has to go she bought a dress, okay, a nice dress to go to this event. It's just a formal dinner. It's a business dinner. Richard Gere, his character's name is Ed Lewis, and he's like this billionaire fucking corporate raider. He takes over businesses. He buys them cheap. He breaks them apart, then he sells off the individual pieces for more than what he spent for it. And he's made a shitload of money doing that. He's very smart. He's very arrogant, very reserved, very stoic. He doesn't get very emotional. He gets curious. He asks questions. But even his vernacular, even the way he speaks like he's an Ivy League graduate, which his character probably is. But he doesn't use slang, okay, the way that we use slang, okay? Like he doesn't say things like, you know, it doesn't matter. He doesn't say it doesn't matter. He says it is irrelevant. You see what I mean? He talks that way, okay? He's very reserved. Obviously, he's got a pedigree is very high, okay? He's very wealthy. He knows he's wealthy. He's also single. He's good looking. He's charming. He's funny when he wants to be. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't do drugs, okay? He's got an ex-wife, but, you know, he doesn't have kids anywhere. You know, it's like, this guy's a fucking Prince Charming. Get the fuck out of here with this bullshit, all right? But this is the guy. This is the guy that every guy has to fucking live up to, okay? If you're for their girls that are Julia Roberts fans, this is the guy that we have to be. Fuck you. All right. Anyway, now that I got that out of the way, all right. So anyway, they had their dinner. Okay, it didn't go very well. Basically, he's taken over this old man. Ralph Bellamy's character. His name's James Morse. He's there with his grandson David Morse. All right. They own a company that builds battleships. Okay, for the Navy. Okay, and they're about to get a big contract for $350 million, and that's going to raise the stock of their company. Now, Richard Gere, Ed Lewis owns 10 million shares. He's going to take over this company and then break it apart and sell it. Well, he can't do that if this deal goes through. If the company gets the $350 million contract that they're about to get, then the stock price is going to go way up, and there's no way he's going to be able to buy it cheap. So he has this corrupt senator in his pocket that he calls the senator. I know I'm explaining capitalism to you, but he calls the senator and he has it blocked in appropriations so that the government cannot buy this company yet until it's approved. Okay, thereby decreasing the value of the stock of this company. Now he can go back to his plan and buy it. All right, the way he wanted to, but that's going to put them out of business, all right? And basically the owner, James Moore, this old man, Ralph Bellamy's the actor. He's been around forever. You remember him from Trading Places. He was one of the corrupt Wall Street guys. He's basically begging Ed. He's like, I knew your dad, you know, and he wasn't an asshole that everyone says he was, you know, but, you know, are you like him? Because I'm really more concerned about my employees. I want you to leave my company alone. You know, and he's like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sell your company. You know, I'm going to break it apart. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't have the money to buy my shares, you know. So they're like, we will. He's like, no, you don't. There's not going to be any contract with the Navy. Okay, he's like, you know, it's stuck in appropriations. That's where it's going to stay. Okay, I'm taking over your company whether you like it or not. He's like, oh, you like to play hardball? Well, I'm gonna screw you over. He's like, I look forward to it, and they leave. Okay, so he's a big ass. He's very dismissive of them. Okay, he doesn't even look at them when he's talking to them. He looks at his food. He looks at Vivian, you know, who's having a problem opening escargot because she's never been to a fine dining restaurant like that. She doesn't know which fork to use, or what the courses are, or any of that shit. All right, so he's looking at her. You know, he's not even like, he's totally dismissive of them. Very rude. Very rude. So they end up leaving, okay? And he's not fazed by them. But the old man, James Morse, did mention Ed's father. His name was Carter Lewis, okay? And he said, he's not the bastard that everybody says that he is. He's not the bastard, you know? And he's like, no, that distinction is mine. you know. But it got him thinking about his dad, and he doesn't like to think about his dad. So he's out in the balcony of his penthouse, a hotel room at the Beverly, okay, the Beverly Wilshire Regent, okay, which is the 5-star hotel he's staying at. Okay, he's there on the balcony. He's scared of heights, so he doesn't ever really go on the balcony. He's sitting on a chair, and half of him is in the balcony, the other half is back in the room. Okay, and of course, Vivian, Julie Roberts goes up there. She's like, "Yeah, I thought you said you were afraid of balconies." He's like, "I'm only half in the balcony," you know. But he's sitting there and he's pondering, he's brooding. He's brooding because he didn't mention that his father passed away in this business meeting, and it got him thinking about his dad. You know, and of course, even though he's very stoic, he doesn't really show his emotions, very melancholy. Vivian can tell that this is kind of bothering him because he's been quiet all night ever since that dinner that they had. He's brooding there, and Viv, she talks to him. She sits on the edge of the balcony, okay, like on the edge, okay. Now he's already scared of heights. This is not helping him at all, okay. So she's just sitting there on the edge of the balcony in her black dress that she bought, the expensive one, okay. And Ed's getting really nervous. He even tells her, "Hey, you're making me nervous. You want to get off of there? You're making me nervous." And he's thinking about his dad. He's thinking about his father, Carter Lewis, okay. And Viv's like, I get what's going on here. I see the problem. You want to buy his company, and he doesn't want to give it to you. He's like, "Thanks for the recap." He's like, "You know what I would really like, Vivian? I would like for you to get off that ledge right now, okay? You're making me very nervous here, okay? This isn't helping me, okay?" And she's like, "Oh, really? I make you nervous? Really? Ooh, look, look, no hands, no hands." Like that. What are you going to do? "Oh my God, if I fall over, are you going to save me? Are you going to save me?" He's like, I'm not looking. So she gets off, okay? She gets off the ledge there, and she's talking to him here, and I get the subtext, okay? I get the subtext of what's going on here. Okay, basically, the metaphor is he's got one foot in the safety of his penthouse, i.e., the safety of his reservedness, his stoicism, and he's got the other foot out in the balcony, which means that he's contemplating opening up his heart to Vivian. Okay, so he's half of him wants to bear his emotions to her, and the other half wants to keep it back safe, where he's comfortable. You see, so I get the metaphor. Meanwhile, she represents chaos. She represents out in the open. She's not afraid to be on the ledge. She's not afraid to express her emotions. He's the one that's afraid, not her. You see what I mean? So she represents a courage that he does not possess, okay? And the fact that he started thinking about his dad because of this meeting is pulling that out of him. Okay, so this is how the movie is shot, which is good. The subtext is perfect, okay? I like that. She represents chaos. She represents maybe falling down and dying. But you don't really know until you do it, right? Well, and him being in the other side is like, "No, I'm in the safety of my room. I'm not going to fall. I don't go out there. So I never fall. I never worry about falling because I never go out there." You see what I mean? Okay, he's talking about his emotions. He's not talking about his physical surroundings, although he is. He is and he isn't, okay? That's called subtext. Okay, so that's going on here, and I get it, okay? And he tells her, "The truth is, Vivian, it is irrelevant whether I like him or not." Because Vivian thinks that he actually likes the old man. I think the old man, James Morris, Ralph Bellamy, reminds him of his father. Because he knew his father. And by him saying that at the dinner, I think what it meant, I think one of the reasons that Ed wasn't looking at them, wasn't making eye contact with them during the dinner, was because this old man knew Ed's father. But Ed himself didn't. Now, we don't know why yet. We'll find out later. But even Ed didn't even know his own father. He knew him, but he didn't really know him. You see what I mean? So, and he also sees, here's this old man with he brought his grandson to this business meeting because his grandson is supposed to inherit the company. You see? It's a family company. It goes from father to son, and he doesn't, I don't think Ed understands what that is. He doesn't really understand the relationship between a father and a son. He already mentioned earlier that he's an only child. So his dad was all he had. And his mother, which he hasn't talked to about yet. But, he doesn't understand the relationship between a father and a son. And here he is seeing it, and it's probably disgusting him. It's something he wants to avoid. He doesn't want to ponder on trivial things like the love between a father and a son. He doesn't want to ponder those things because those things bring up emotions that he tries to suppress, that he has been suppressing for a very long time. He doesn't get emotional. Like I said, he's very stoic. which is why he's always keeping Vivian at arm's reach. It's not just because he sees himself as above her. I think he does, but also because he's not the kind of person that would give in to his emotions. He's learning how to do that. He's starting to act a little bit like a child around her because she's wild, she's chaos. Like she said earlier in the movie, she's a fly by the seat of my pants type of gal, and he is definitely not that way at all. He thinks about the stuff that he does. He plans everything. That's how he becomes such a good hostile corporate raider, is because he plans everything before he goes in for the kill. He sets up his prey, and then he goes in for it. Okay, everything's meticulous. He knows what he's doing. He pays attention to everything before he moves. This woman represents the opposite of that. She just goes wherever the fucking day takes her. Okay, I think he admires that a bit, but also it's so unlike him that for him to even play with it a little bit, just entertain her, is out of his comfort zone. But I think he's having fun with it. Here's a woman that's completely different from him, doesn't understand his lifestyle, but he's not used to being around people that don't understand his lifestyle. So I think that's why he sees her as kind of like a purse puppy, a pet, or someone he can control, which is more likely. Okay, so that's going on here, and he tells her, it is irrelevant whether or not I like the man. Okay, I will not let myself become emotionally involved in business. And of course, Vivian's still sitting on the ledge. She didn't really get off of it yet. She's like, I know what you mean. I'm the same way. That's why I don't ever kiss any of my tricks. It's too personal. Like you said, you stay numb. But she doesn't do drugs, right? You stay numb. You don't get involved. When I'm with a guy, I'm like a robot. I just do it. He's just like, and she's like, I mean, except with you. He's like, oh yeah, of course, except with me, of course. Which is pretty good. This is another example of her. She doesn't think about what she does before. She doesn't think about what she's gonna say before she says. She just says it, and then she's like, oh shit. Of course not with me. And he looks down. She's like, okay. Ed's like, we are very similar creatures. You see the way he talks? Like real men don't talk like that. Okay, he's like, you and I are very similar creatures, Vivian. Who the fuck talks like that? We both screw people for money. She's like, they have some more of a conversation. He admits that his father, she asked him about his dad. I'm sorry about your dad. When did he die? He's like, a month ago. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you miss him? Which you can tell it's not really an appropriate question to ask him, He's like, I have not spoken to the man in 14 and a half years. I wasn't here when he died. Which means that he died alone. Foreshadowing? She's like, well, do you, were you close to him? He's like, no. She's like, and I don't want to talk about this. She's like, okay. So she jumps off the balcony and comes up to him, and she she crouches in front of him, and she says, okay, let's go inside and let's just watch some old movies, all night long, and we'll veg out in front of the TV. He's like, veg out? She's like, yeah, like be still like vegetables, and lay like broccoli. I've never heard of this before. I don't know who the fuck wrote this shit. But yeah, okay. Wherever the fuck, take that what you can. Take the subtext out of that, all right? Well, he decides not to do that. He decides just to get up, and he leaves. He tells her he's going downstairs. He'll be back later. That's it. He walks out of the hotel room. So now she's stuck by herself there. So what does she do? She watches TV, like she said. She watches old movies, and the movie in particular that she's watching is Charades from 1963. I've never seen that movie, but I will review it if you want me to. She's watching Charades from 1963. It was a movie directed by Stanley Donen, who apparently is a good director. Back in the day when that movie came out, the reviewers, the critics called it the best Hitchcock movie that Hitchcock never made. Okay, now it stars Carrie Grant and Audrey Hepburn. Now, obviously, it's a rom-com, but I guess there's some sort of mystery in there or something. These characters, they play different characters. They pretend to be different people. I guess that's I've never like I said I've never seen the movie, but I guess that's what about. Like they assume different names or something. Especially Cary Grant's character, I think he assumes all these fake identities to con people or whatever. Now it is kind of a love story rom com. Okay, now you got to remember, Cary Grant was 59 years old when he filmed that movie, and Audrey Hepburn was 33. I mean, get the fuck out of here, man. She's 26 years. She's 26 years younger than him, okay? At least Richard Gere is 18 years older than Julia Roberts in this movie. But in this one, Cary Grant's 26 years older than fucking Audrey Hepburn, okay? When they made that movie, right? But apparently they had a great time making the movie. They loved working with each other. Unfortunately, they never did work with each other again, although they tried. They tried to work with each other again. Yes, I know a lot about old Hollywood. All right. They actually the only reason Cary Grant even did the movie was he had to change the script. Now the script, obviously a typical rom-com, it's the man that pursues the woman. Okay, well because he's fucking 59 years old and she's 33, but Audrey Hepburn at 33 looks 23. Cary Grant did not feel comfortable doing that. So they switched the script so that it was actually Audrey Hepburn's character that pursues him. That's trying to get him in bed, and he's the one that's got to politely reject her over and over again. Okay, before they make it to the end of the movie. Okay, like I said, some of you have probably seen the movie. I don't know, but I've never seen the movie. But I did read up about what it was about. Okay, a couple of things about that movie, just because it's in the movie. Like we were getting oldie references here. Okay, they've already had the I Love Lucy reference, which I already talked to you about that. They've already had the song for this movie is called Pretty Woman, Oh Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. Okay, that song came out a year after Charades came out in 1964. Okay, that's an old song. Okay, it was a popular hit song back in the day. All right, and then we've got this movie, Charades from 1963, another oldies reference, okay, with Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, another rom-com from back in the day. All right, now something you do need to know about this movie, it came out in 63, it came out 1 month after JFK, President Kennedy, was assassinated. There is a line in the movie where Audrey Hepburn says, we could get assassinated. They had to cut that line out of the movie and they redubbed it with the word eliminated. So if you have seen the movie, you know the scene I'm talking about, where they dubbed over her voice to say eliminated instead of assassinated because it was too soon. Also, one other thing, at the time, well, not at the time, but if you know anything about Audrey Hepburn, okay, she dated most of her co-stars, okay? She actually fell in love with one of her co-stars. His name was, what the fuck was his name? William Holden. William Holden, okay? That was her co-star in Sabrina. That was one of the guys. Him and Humphrey Bogart were vying for affections, okay? Well, they fell in love in real life, but he was married. Of course he was. Of course he was. But, I mean, he was fucking everybody. He was fucking her. He was fucking, Grace Kelly. He was fucking all sorts of his co-stars. But anyway, he was fucking Audrey Hepburn. They actually fell in love, but Audrey Hepburn wanted to marry him and have kids, and he lied to her. He told her that he that he wanted that too once his divorce goes through. But the truth is, he'd had a vasectomy a long time ago, and once he finally admitted to her that he had a vasectomy already and he couldn't undo it, then she fucking dropped his ass. Okay, but yeah, that did happen. Meanwhile, Cary Grant, who's the other star of Charades, a lot of people don't realize this. Yes, I know he married a few women. He was married to several women, I think. Okay, but it was a known secret in Hollywood. Okay, it was very well known that Cary Grant was gay. Okay, the longest relationship he had was 11 years, and it was with his boyfriend. Another actor named Randolph Scott. Now, Randolph Scott mostly did westerns, okay? He didn't do rom-coms or crime movies or noir movies like that. He did westerns, okay? But yes, and they lived together. Even while they were both married to women, they were still living together. Yeah, in fact, it was Marlene Dietrich that was quoted as saying that the best, the most romantic Hollywood couple she had ever seen in real life was Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. Yeah. So for those of you who did not know, now you know. Okay, anyway. We're not talking about that movie, though. I'll review it some other time if you want me to. Okay, so now Julia Roberts, Viv falls asleep, and she wakes up. It's 3 a.m., and Ed has not returned from going downstairs. So she calls downstairs to the lobby. Hey, is Ed Lewis down there? Whatever, blah, blah. So anyway, she ends up getting Dennis. That's the bellhop. That's the guy that runs the elevator. Okay, he sneaks her into the banquet room where they have that. Now that's where she got a crash course on fine dining etiquette by the hotel manager. Barney Thompson. Okay, he gave her like a little crash course on which fork to use, where the water glows, all that kind of stuff. All right, so he's in there, and it's just employees in there, and they're cleaning up the place. You see maids, they're vacuuming and stuff, and these guys are putting up tables, but they're sitting there, the waiters and stuff. Okay, they're just sitting there watching Richard Gere, Ed Lewis play the piano. Okay, now a lot of people don't realize this, but he actually really was playing the piano in that scene. Okay, he is an about a piano player in real life. Okay, in fact, the theme song, the background orchestra, the background piano number that you hear in this movie was performed by Richard Gere. Not only did he play that song, he wrote it himself. He's a big piano player. Okay, in real life. Okay, so that's actually him playing the piano in that scene. Okay, well, he's playing. Well, why is he doing this? Well, we know why he's doing this. Okay, he's doing this because he's thinking about his dad. He's thinking about the relationship that he saw between this guy that he's trying to screw over, okay, James Morse, and the relationship that James Morse has with his grandson, David Morse, how they keep the business in the family, and that's something that he's never had, and it bothers him because his father died recently, and he knows he's never going to have that. He's never going to have that with his father. It's too late. He blew his father off for 14 and a half years. His father died alone. Yeah, I'm sure he feels some guilt in there. I mean, regardless of what he's done, that was still his dad. He could have been a better son. Doesn't matter what his dad did. He could have been a better son. It's never about what the other person does. It's about what you do. It's always about what you do. How you can. Doesn't matter how other people conduct themselves. It's always about how you conduct yourself. And he's probably feeling the guilt. He's feeling the remorse that he didn't make amends with his father before his father died. His father was an asshole, apparently. That's usually the reason, and now he is. Now he's an asshole, So he's there, he's playing the piano. You can tell he's very morose, I would say depressed, but he doesn't necessarily look depressed. He looks morose. Okay, he looks brooding. Depressed would involve some sort of emotion going on in his face, and he's very stoic. He doesn't do that, So that's why he looks like, okay? And he's playing the piano there. Now, Vivian came down from upstairs, so she's got the robe on, but underneath it, she's got her black nightie on, her lingerie on, underneath the robe. She goes there and confronts him, okay? And, she's like, I didn't know you could play. He's like, I only play for strangers, And then he tells all the employees to leave the room, and they do. All the waiters, and I guess the busboys and all of the people that are cleaning up the place, they all leave. So he's alone there in the banquet with Vivian, and she's like, "Well, dude, do people always do what you tell them to?" And he's just like, brings her over to him, sits her down from the piano, puts his head on her stomach, and then he just looks up at her and just starts taking off her robe, stands up to her, starts kissing her and all, the way you do it. He's actually pretty good at this scene. I give you props for Richard Gere, dude. He knows how to fuck. All right. Well, at least he knows how to do foreplay. Okay. He knows how to do foreplay. Okay. Because that I was seeing my own style in there. Okay. But yeah, like the way he grabbed the back of her neck and then he grabbed her hair with the other hand. That's my move. And I know I didn't steal it from him either. He stole it from me. Okay. And she's like, oh, I guess they do, whatever. So he spreads her out on the fucking piano, and he goes all Billy Joel on her ass. Okay, yeah. We don't see it, though. We don't see it. Later on, we'll see more, but we don't see it here. We don't see it here. Okay. But you know what happens. He fucks her in the banquet room. How do you do that and not get kicked out of the fucking hotel? Didn't Barney say to her earlier that things that happen in other hotels do not happen here at the Beverly Wilshire? Didn't he say that earlier than he did? But apparently you can still fuck your hooker in the banquet hall at 3 a.m. in the morning. He's a very good customer. Anyway, so that's going on here. He fucks her. Okay, on the piano, takes off her clothes. It's kind of erotic, really. It really is, And like I said before, Julia Roberts is only 22 years old, and And Richard Gere is 40 years old. Okay. Now, real quickly on Julia Roberts. Okay, like I said before, this movie catapulted her into stardom. Okay, she'd done some other stuff before, but this was the movie that really fucking made her a force in Hollywood. Okay, that she became the queen of the chick flicks because of the success of this movie. That's basically her bread and butter for the next fucking 25 years. Everything from fucking Stepmoms, Pelican Brief, Erin Brockovich, My Best Friend's Wedding. I mean, you name it, okay? You've seen the shit. Flatliners even, okay? So she done a lot of shit, okay? But like I said, she was 22 years old. And for those of you who do not know, okay, actually how she got into Hollywood was from her brother Eric Roberts. Now, Eric Roberts he was an up-and-coming actor in the early 80s. Okay, he started out in the early 80s, but he got an agent. He started getting regular work. He did some stuff you've probably seen. He did, what was it, the Coca-Cola Kid or whatever, that movie with fucking, oh fuck if I remember what her name was. Linda Florentino. Is that the name of the movie? Correct me please in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Coca-Cola Kid. He was in that. He did a martial arts movie that I loved called Best of the Best. I don't know if you've ever seen that. He did two. I think they made three of those. And he was the sensei that competed. He did a lot of stuff. He even did one with like Cheech and Chong, where they were like hippies that came back to America or some shit. I don't fucking High Days or some shit. I don't remember. But he'd been around. He's done a lot of TV and stuff, and you see him around. For those of you who don't know who he is, he was in The Dark Knight, the Christian Bale Batman movie. He played Moretti. Okay, he played Moretti. That was the guy that that was the guy. Not the Joker, the mobster boss that took over the Falcone crime family. Okay, Boss Maroni. Okay, Boss Maroni, that's who he played. Okay, Salvador Maroni, that's the guy that he played. Okay, in The Dark Knight, that's the guy that took over the Romans' crime empire after he got defeated in the first Batman movie. Okay, so yes, so he was there. He was in that. He was the one that hired the Joker, and then he couldn't control the Joker anymore. Yeah, that was him. That was Eric Roberts. Okay, he was also he's done a lot of shit. Okay, but anyway, he was a working actor in Hollywood. And he was helping his sister, obviously his sister, she saw the success that he was having in Hollywood, and she wanted to be a part of it. So she asked him for help, and he helped her out. He did. Now, they did have a falling out. I don't know if they've made amends already, but for a very long time, they refused to talk about each other in interviews. They did not see each other. They did not hang out with each other. Okay, there was very bad feelings between Eric Roberts and his sister Julia. They refused to acknowledge each other at awards, at functions. They made sure that they did not go to the same events. And obviously, Julia Roberts surpassed her brother's career. Okay, she became a mega movie star, A-list, and he never quite did. So I think there's some jealousy in there. Okay, now I know he's got a daughter that's acting right now. I forget, Emma Roberts. Yeah, she was on American Horror Story, some other shit, But that's after my generation, so I know very little about her. I just know that she beat the shit out of her boyfriend, Evan Peters, the guy that played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. Yeah, she beat the shit out of him. Okay, and he pressed charges against her, so she's fucked up in the head too, just like her fucking auntie, and probably her dad too. Okay, so now you know. All right, so anyway, that's gonna end the part 8 of my review of Pretty Woman. I'll be back shortly with some more of the movie. Thank you for watching this long, and I'll see you soon on the next one. Bye.